What's up, guys? Today we've got the Crosscore RC from Yamaha, and we are going to be doing the 100-mile review on it. We've got a little bit over 100 miles on this bike. I'm sitting at right at 174 miles total that I've ridden the bike so far. What we're going to do is cover the bike from top to bottom as I ride, and hopefully we can cover all the content of the bike that you guys are interested in. If there's something I miss, you guys comment down below, let me know what it is, and I'll try to get it in a subsequent video. But anyway, starting off, we'll go with the seat. I like it. Thumbs up on the seat. It is comfortable. Plenty of cushion for me in the areas where I need it. Plenty of adjustment in the seat post and being able to tilt it up and down. Actually, the bike seat, I didn't even have to adjust it when I first got the bike. I just had to, well, I say that. I didn't have to adjust it nose down or nose up. If you don't know what that means, there are two screws that you should be able to tighten and loosen and be able to point the nose up or point the nose down to make it more comfortable for you. Typically, nose up tends to put you in more of an upright position, and nose down puts you more of a tilted, lean forward position. Whichever is more comfortable for you, you can decide, right? Anyway, the seat and the adjustments on it are super comfortable. No issues there. Moving into the front of the bike, let's go with the handlebars. Everything attached to it. The light, first things first. I love having a light on the bike that is powered by the battery. Excellent. It is so good. I have been riding my other bikes, including the Wabash, often, and I end up having to charge the battery on the lights so that I can go ride in the early mornings. I love just being able to go outside, get on this bike, and go. It doesn't have a rear light, but typically rear lights last a lot longer. I can get like 3 to 4 days out of a rear light versus maybe 1 to 2 days out of a front light. So it's just a lot less difficult whenever you have this front light on there that's capable of turning on and being on the whole time of the bike, and you don't have to worry about it going dead. Next thing would be the computer. I prefer it. I prefer it being low tech. I don't have any issues with this display. It shows me all the information I need to see: the speed, the range, the odometer, the charge of the battery, and the assist level that I'm in. So yeah, I actually really like this display, and the fact that it's got, I don't know if it's been mentioned or not, but it's got like a backlight, a little blue backlight, kind of like what you'd have like on a Casio watch or something like that turns on. And I cannot say enough about how good that is compared to these bright LCD screens for your eyes whenever you're in low light riding. You end up having to adjust the brightness, or some of them you can't even adjust the brightness, and it's not terrible, but it's not ideal. So this is, for me, an ideal display. One thing about it is that I do like that I've kind of been trained is that it's got the buttons where you just tap it and it turns on. You tap the light and it turns on. I'm used to having to long press buttons for stuff to turn on, especially the headlight. So I find myself long pressing the headlight button even when I don't have to. But anyway, that's enough about the display. You've got all your different settings for assistance, and at any point in time you can hold the top button and you can put it in auto, and that's about it for that. As far as the light goes, you can turn it on and off, you can turn power on and off. I haven't tried the walk button, but maybe I will at some point. But anyways, that's it for the computer. As for the brakes, I love the brakes. These Tektro brakes I've had, I believe they're Tektro. Yeah, I've had Tektro brakes on a lot of my bikes in the past, non-e-bikes as well. And they're just really solid brakes. They're not the highest end and they're not the lowest end. They're just adequate, very good brakes. Let's see, what else? The handlebars, there's not much to say about them. They're just a flat bar, basic flat bar. I would say, just because I'm a mountain biker, I'm used to having wider bars. I like to have a little bit more control. The wider the bar is, the more kind of granular control you have of the bike. This is more of like a, you know, you put a little weight on your wrist and it'll turn in, which is good. That's flickable, right? So that's what a skinnier bar will do, right? It'll give you more aggressive turning and things of that nature, more aggressive control of the bike. Definitely not a bad thing, but it's just something to keep in mind if you're used to riding a mountain bike with a much wider set of bars. The handle grips, I think they are lock-on, so that's cool. You can tighten these on and just remove them if you need to, or put them back on. They're reusable. A lot of those grips, I guess grips that don't lock on are also reusable, but they're just more difficult to put on and take off. But these I feel like they're adequate. They're very aerodynamic. They're comfortable for me. As for my riding position, I may prefer a little bit more upright for how I ride this bike, but it's definitely not bad. It's just my own personal preference. If I were to just be nitpicky about it, I would like to be a little bit more upright, but that would change the posture of me riding and the posture of the bike to make it a little less aggressive, and it might change up the feeling for what some other people are looking for. Maybe the general populace is looking for a more aggressive riding position. But anyway, moving on from there, we got the stem. The stem's a little bit shorter than you would find on the Wabash RT. I tend to like this stem length. My actual preference would be this stem length over the Wabash RT stem length. I will probably buy a stem very similar to this and put on the Wabash, just because I have, I guess, a shorter reach and it's more comfortable for me on this bike than it is on the Wabash. So I feel like that might be something I do in the future. From there, we got the frame, or the top tube, and I don't have any issues with it. It does have this like bend up, which isn't a problem, but it does exist. And for someone who's a little bit shorter, you could have maybe some issues with standover height. I don't at all. I'm about 6 foot tall, and this is a large frame, and I don't have any issues with standover. But if you're trying to buy a larger bike, or if you're at like the bottom of, you know, the large, you may end up wanting to go with the medium. This is not like the Wabash RT. I bought the large of the Wabash RT, and that frame was a little big for me. This is actually perfect for me, large, in a size large. Moving down, we've got we got the fork. Let's just go with the fork. So originally I had said that the fork was adequate, but it was, you know, it left something to be desired. Whenever I was really, you know, getting on the bike, I would stand up and it would just kind of go, the bike would just go down, up and down, up and down, up and down. It was really not ideal. It wasn't bottoming out, but it wasn't ideal. So then I started making adjustments on these clickers, and it's got about 14 clicks of adjustment. I ended up using 7 of those clicks, and I found that that's adequate for me. I may end up riding it somewhere closer to around 10 clicks, but that's just because I like it to be a bit more firm. I ride the bike a little bit more aggressively. So there's that. Battery and charging. It does charge very fast. So if you're looking to have a bike like this and you're wanting to commute on it and you think, man, I'd like to charge the battery up between my commute or not, and I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough time to charge it all the way up. Yes, you will. This thing charges so fast. About 2 hours, I think, is what they said. It'll get 80%. but I haven't confirmed that. I know that the bike in my own testing will charge from 0 to 100% in less than 4 hours, because that's what I've tested up to this point, and it's almost always done it or gotten very close to 100%. Let's see what else. The battery is a 500 watt-hour battery. I tend to get a significant amount of range out of it. Right now, the bike is saying I will get 32 miles of range, but I've been riding. I did a speed test this morning and a couple other things, so some of the juice is off the top of the pack, but I'm riding an auto right now and it's telling me I've got 32 miles of range. I assume I have more based on my current riding, but anyway, the auto feature, as you ride the bike, you start getting used to it, and I found that it's a little bit more easy to understand what the bike's going to do. Originally, I was just riding like a regular bike, and it was staying pretty much in high the whole time. And as a result of that, like, I didn't see a difference between auto and high. But now that I'm riding around a little bit more, and being a bit more casual about it, I am definitely feeling a difference in the output in auto. Moving on down, let's go with the battery tray. You haven't seen it yet, but I've had to devise a way to keep the battery tray from popping open. It was popping open every time I rode. I don't think it was dangerous necessarily, but it probably wasn't ideal for the bike. So anyway, so what I did was I zip tied the tray closed, and now it doesn't have any issues because the tray is going to stay closed based on the zip ties. If I need to, I can just take those zip ties off and then re-zip them back on and keep it closed again. But I don't foresee that needing to be the case because the bike's got so much range with just one battery. I don't think I'll need to change out the battery unless I'm doing something crazy, and in which case then I'll just get some type of strap that I can remove and put back on whenever I do change out the battery. From there, let's talk about the motor. The motor is super quiet. I mean, I can hear it right now. You could probably hear it right now, but it's quiet, smooth, builds power so well. Like right now I'm going 18 miles an hour, casual pace, and I'm sitting at 99 beats per minute, but I could easily start picking up the pace and get up to like 25, 27 miles an hour and just maintain that. Obviously my heart rate's going to go up as a result, and I can just go, and this thing just goes all day long. Excellent. I can't say enough about this motor, about how smooth it is, how it builds power. It's excellent. I just love it. And that's been my experience with the Yamaha motor in general. It's just a great motor. Let's see, what else? Let's go into pedals that came with it. I don't have any issues with those. They're a little bit skinny for what people might be used to for the platforms. For me, I haven't found any issues with that. The crank arms are good. They're a solid brand. I don't have any issues with them. They feel like they're going to hold up pretty well. Shifting and the cassette and the derailleur, they're adequate. And they're not bad, but it's a 9-speed. I could use some additional range, maybe an 11 or 12 speed, but do I have to have it? No. It's adequate for what I do, and there's enough range in it that I can climb even the steepest of hills in whatever setting that I've got the bike in, as long as I change my gears down whenever I'm climbing. I have found that I had to make more adjustments on this bike when it came than I did on the Wabash RT, but that's that's hit or miss. It's always hit or miss with an e-bike. You know, sometimes you'll get them and you won't have to make any adjustments, and sometimes you'll get it and you'll have to redo all of the adjustments in order to ride the bike. But as far as shifting and everything, the bike does it smoothly. I mean, when you're in the higher levels of assist, just like any other e-bike that's mid-drive, and you want to just clank through the gears and not really pay attention to the effort that you're putting into it, then it's going to shift a little harder. But if you back off and adjust your, you know, your effort when you shift a little bit, then you won't have those things happen as often. But it is something that is no different on this bike than it is on any other bike. I think this bike does have a kick down whenever you shift, but that doesn't mean that it's always going to smooth shift. It just means best effort, right? What else? I don't have any issues with the gearing. I'd say that all the gearing is pretty adequate as far as like a commuter bike goes, other than the climbing I was telling you about. But as far as like maintaining, you know, 20 or above miles per hour, this front cog and the cassette are pretty adequate. I don't find myself spinning, and I don't find myself having difficulty like keeping pedaling, right? I'm always able to find at least somewhere in the range of the cassette a decent output. Let's see, what else? Tires. They're not expensive tires. I did have someone comment and say that these tires have some type of armor on them, so they're not like terrible. CST is not like the biggest brand that I've ever heard of, but maybe it's just because CST offers that type of protection on the tire and maybe the other companies don't, and so that's why they went with them. I have noticed that it has these reflective strips on them. I like that because it makes me more visible at night, and that's something that I think is a good addition. What else? Kickstand. I love the kickstand. It's run-of-the-mill regular old kickstand, but I like it so much I'm probably going to get one for my Wabash. I'm hesitant because I don't really want to put a kickstand on my gravel bike, but I also don't want to have to figure out how I'm going to, you know, lean the bike against something every time I don't want to, you know, every time I want to get off of it. I don't want to lay it on the ground, so we'll figure that out over time. I guess it depends on how often I end up being actually on some type of gravel or off-road terrain that may cause the kickstand to come down or jump or bounce around. To this point, I've only ridden it off road once, and I probably won't ride it like that again on that trail. Not that it wouldn't, and not that I didn't enjoy it, but I've got other bikes that I can do that on. So anything else? The brakes, I've already talked about them. They're really good. Wheels, no issues. I will say this doesn't roll as fast as the Wabash, but that's to be expected for a thicker tire profile, more rotating mass, and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, other than that, guys, that's the bike. I already did some range videos, and I did some top speed video. If you want to check those out, check out the other videos in my channel. But yeah, the bike got super good range. It was close to 100 miles of range in eco, and I think it was something like 27 or 30 miles range on high or auto, basically riding like it was high. And that's what I expected from the bike. Some people complain about it not having that much range, you know, in high. Basically 28 miles per hour for 30 miles wasn't enough for them. You know, for a regular typical cyclist, this thing has got more juice than you need. I don't see most people riding this bike daily past 50 miles, and this bike will easily do 50 miles a day, no problem on standard, I would say. And that's just guesstimating. I haven't tried it, but my assumption is if in Eco Plus I can get almost 100, then I assume I can get half of that in standard. But a bike that'll go as fast as this bike constantly, I'd say 30 miles at the top of the range of output is pretty good. Alright guys, well that is the 100-mile review on the Yamaha Crosscore RC. I appreciate you guys watching. If you like the video, give me a like. If you want to see more content like this, consider subscribing. And if there's something that you want to see me test on this bike or any other bikes in the garage, comment down below, let me know what it is. Or if there's another bike you want me to test, maybe pick up and try to test, then I'll maybe look into doing that. At this point, I've tested all of the bikes that I have in my garage other than long-term tests, and those will come up later, but I'll have to at least take a hiatus and put a couple hundred more miles on each of these bikes before I can give a 300-mile review. Anyways, thanks for watching. Out.